I wanted to say a few words about one aspect of tariffs that I don't think is not about tariffs, about Trump's way of doing policy that I don't think is talked enough about. Think about what it takes to run a business. And some of you are business owners, and you probably know this. Think about the years you spent cultivating suppliers, cultivating relationships, building a supply chain to get the kind of goods you need, the raw materials you need, the things you resell on time, in the quality you want, at the time and the place that you want. Think about the effort that goes into, and I know some of you can't because you've never experienced it, but the kind of effort that goes into supply chain management, the effort, the time, the energy, the capital that goes into the structure of moving goods from place to place and making sure that they are in the right place at the right time for your customers. This is an enormous aspect of any business. I mean, think about an iPhone that has, I can't remember, components from 50 different countries. 50 different countries. They have to be sourced. They have to be quality controlled. They have to get to the right factory at the right time to be assembled and then shipped. I mean, Tim Cook, who is the CEO of Apple, his genius, and the reason he rose in Apple's ranks and the reason Steve Jobs brought him in and then left Apple to him in a sense as CEO, is his genius at supply chain, at organizing, creating, building that supply chain. And it takes years. And in a second, with one signature, with one stupid comment, with one thoughtless regulation, government can wipe that out completely. Completely. I mean, what does Apple do right now? Now, I know what Apple's going to do. And you'll see that in the next few days, Donald Trump will announce that Apple is exempt from the tariffs. It will go lobbying to the government to get rid of, because Apple can't survive if it's going to import these things from China with 145% tariff. It will get an exemption. Oh, and unless Trump wants to play hardball with China and wants to really screw them and Apple. But I don't think he wants to screw Tim Cook. I think he cares about Tim Cook's opinion of him too much to do that. So he'll give him an exemption. But think about the medium-sized businesses that have done the equivalent of what Tim Cook has done for Apple, for whatever product they're selling. How do they recreate these supply chains? Now they have to shift to importing from Brazil or from Mexico, from somewhere else. They can't ship from China, or they can't ship from Canada, or wherever the tariff has to be. Think about the auto companies. You remember that, that some parts go back and forth to Canada 7 times before they're put in a car somewhere? How do you redesign all that so that you don't go back and forth because you can't afford to pay the tariffs every time you cross the border? Think about all the businesses that are going to be destroyed, small businesses, medium-sized businesses that will not be able to supply goods to their customers because now their raw materials cost 25% or 145% more than they did yesterday. Think about the arbitrary power. I mean, even if you think Trump is a genius, even if you think tariffs are somehow a good idea, think of the arbitrary power that we have given the president to change the rules of the game on a dime, and therefore force businessmen to scrap the planning that they've done for 20 years and to reorient it to something else. Not because there's a war, not because we've been invaded, but because you just feel like it, because you're Trump and you're a genius. think about all the people right now on the supply chain management. There are millions of them in America. I don't know, millions. There are thousands of them all over America, all over businesses, scrambling to try to figure out how to survive this. All that wasted energy, that wasted talent, the wasted planning that they've engaged in for years and years and years is meaningless. Because the president thinks that it's meaningless. It doesn't care. This is why a complete separation of government from economics is so necessary. But at the very least, what is necessary is to take away the arbitrary instant power that a president has to completely reshape the world and destroy the work of millions of productive people with a signing of a pen. I mean, this wasn't discussed, this wasn't debated, this didn't come up in front of Congress, there was no opportunity for feedback. No, Trump just woke up in the morning and said, hey, I think reciprocal tariffs would be cool. Or not. Think about what you do now as a business person. Put yourself in the shoes of a business person who a few days ago were panicking because tariffs on stuff that he was importing from, I don't know, Chile. Chile, I don't know what the rate is on Chile, but Israel were going to be 17%. And now they're 10%. But tomorrow, he doesn't know what they're going to be. How do you plan? How do you plan for next week? Never mind for next month. Never mind for next year. Never mind the way businessmen really plan, which is for the next 5, 10 years. Where do you get the new relationships? Again, supply chain management means, God, I mean, think about, I don't know, think about coffee. Think about you're a coffee shop and you source your coffee. You want to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. So you source your coffee from Kenya. And you specialize in pour-over coffee, special $5, I don't know, pour-over coffee with beans from Kenya and maybe some beans from Tanzania. And you have it priced and you've got the relationship and you've gone to the particular farmers from which you buy the coffee and you've smelled and tasted their coffee and it's fantastic and it's exactly what your clients want. And you have contracts with them to supply you with coffee for the next few years. And then suddenly Trump comes in, and I don't know what the tariffs are on Kenya and Tanzania, but let's say the 70% were a few days ago. Can you imagine what that coffee shop owner was going through a few days ago when he thought the price of his coffee was going to increase by 70% because the tax man was going to stand between him and the coffee grower in Kenya and raise prices by 70%? He would have to raise his coffee by 70% to the consumer. But who's going to buy coffee at almost double the price? The demand for coffee is going to go way down. And how are we going to fix that? I guess we start producing coffee in America. I wonder how that'll taste. Let's start growing coffee in America. That's the solution. So, I mean, you can joke about it and you can make fun of it. You don't know where the coffee comes from, all this bullshit. But we're talking about people's lives and livelihood. We're talking about the effort that people have gone to create these relationships and to build this up. And all because of the whim of an ignorant president, it's gone. It disappears. And it's completely arbitrary. Completely arbitrary. It has real costs to people's real lives. And we're not just talking about any people. We're talking about the most productive people in American society, in the world. American businessmen who now have to scramble. I mean, what Trump did to American businessmen over the last week should be impeachable. I mean, it won't be, but it should be. I mean, the level of disrespect, the level of irresponsibility is stunning. Business, big business, medium-sized business, small business, these policies are unbelievably destructive to the people running and working at these businesses. And that's the great injustice. I mean, yeah, all of us will pay a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, for our coffee and for other things. But the extent to which we're disrupting the lives of the most productive people among us, the people who actually produce the values that we benefit from, that is an unforgivable sin that Trump has committed. I can't remember an action taken by a president that is as disruptive to the entire community of business in America than these tariffs. Every single business is affected by them. All right, so that is what I wanted to say. You know, I don't understand people out there who are not outraged. I mean, outraged by this president. And it's, you know, Anne says the disruptive president. It's not about disrupting. It's about destroying. Disrupting sounds like, yeah, we go into business, we disrupt it a little bit to make it more productive. This is not about disruption. This is about destruction. This is about creating uncertainty for the sake of creating uncertainty. But destroying the capacity of American businesses to plan and to really function and to be successful. And it is unbelievably arbitrary. By the way, you know, he's not isolating China. He's doing the exact opposite. He is encouraging the rest of the world to trade with China and to China to trade with the rest of the world. He's isolating America. And indeed, by alienating all of our allies, by imposing tariffs on all of our allies, by treating all of our allies like enemies, he's encouraging them to align and negotiate with China. So Trump is not isolating China. Trump is isolating America. Trump is isolating the United States of America. And it's obvious that that's what he's doing. And it's obvious that's the effect of his actions are having. So it's not about disruption. It's not about isolating China. It's about isolating America. And it's about emboldening China, what Trump is doing single-handedly. He is elevating China and demoting, deflating, I don't know what the term you want to use, the United States in globally, in terms of global power, global significance. And in doing so, he is attacking the best of us. Our businessmen, the people who have made America what it is, who keep America going, that's who he's attacking. That's who he's demeaning that's who he's, his policies are ultimately meant to penalize. All right. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to say about. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to comment on this. I've commented on many times before, but yesterday, U.S. Trade Representative Jamie Greers was in front of the House Ways and Means Committee, and she said the following: "We must move away from an economy based solely on the financial sector and government spending, and we must become an economy based on producing real goods and services by American workers and communities here." That is so dishonest. Now, I'm all for reducing government spending, much more than they would, but that is just so dishonest. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. The United States produces more manufactured goods by value than any other country in the world except China. We have 4% of the world's population, but 16% of the world's manufacturing output. We produce more manufacturing value than Germany, South Korea, and Japan combined. Germany, South Korea, and Japan combined. We have more. But no, we don't manufacture enough. And services, she said, based on producing goods and services, we are the largest producer of services in the world. So they constantly lie about this idea of we don't produce anything in the United States anymore. Trump today tweeted, this is just a hodgepodge of stuff related to the tariffs and trade. "This is a great time to move your company into the United States, like Apple and many others in record numbers are doing." Apple's not doing that. There's no way it'll do that. It cannot produce iPhones in the US, and it will not. "Zero tariffs." And I lost my voice there. "And almost immediate electrical energy hookups and approvals. No environmental delays. Don't wait, do it now." And here's the thing. Even if you move your company into the United States, you're going to face heavy tariffs on almost all the components that you need for, let's say, Apple and the iPhone. They'll have to pay a tariff when they import the glass from South Korea. They'll have to pay a tariff when they import the microchip from Taiwan. They'll have to pay a tariff when they import all the 50 different components that go into an iPhone. Almost none of the components are made in the United States. So they'll save the tariff on the final good, but they'll have to pay tariffs on all the pieces. Not clear which way is better. Again, just sheer ignorance and stupidity.